Good day, everyone. My name is Karen Aliel. My topic for today is all about the law of reflection. So, here is the key points. We have reflection, normal, incident ray, reflected ray, angle of incidence, and angle of reflection. So, what is the law of reflection? So, let's define first the reflection. We all know that reflection is when light bounces off a polished surface like a mirror and changes direction as a result. So, law of reflection is the law of reflection defines that upon reflection from a smooth surface, the angle of incident rate with respect to the normal to the surface that is to a line perpendicular to the surface that is to the surface at the point of contact. So the law of reflection is defined as the principle when the light rays falls in the smooth surface and the angle of reflection is equal to the angle of incidence. Also, the incident ray, the reflected ray, and the normal to the surface all lie in the same plane. So that is the law of reflection. So here is the parts of the law of reflection. So first we have the normal. So what is the normal? So normal is the perpendicular drawn at the point of incidence to the reflecting surface. So here is the example at the right slide. So look at the figure. Here is the normal. So this is the normal divides the angle between the incident ray and the reflected ray into equals angles. So that is a normal. In optics, normal ray is the perpendicular or normal to the surface. So that is normal. So next we have the incident ray of light. So the incident ray of light, it's the ray of light that falls on surface. So it is the ray of light falling on the surface, separating two mediums is the ray. It also when this incident ray that strike the surface. So here is this example of the incident ray. So look at the figure. Here is the so that's line. It is the incident ray and the normal line that is a perpendicular or what we call normal. So next we have reflected ray of light. So the reflected ray of light, it is the ray of light that is reflected from a surface. So here is the example, reflected ray of light. So reflected ray of light, it is the ray of light that leaves the mirror. Reflected light when the incident ray bouncing back in the same medium after the striking the reflecting surface, so they reflect. Next, the ray of light or the reflected ray of light, it is a ray of light or another form of radiant that is thrown back from non-permeable or non-observing surface. So that is the reflected ray of light. Next, we have the angle of incidence. So the angle of incidence is the angle between the incident ray and the normal. Angle of incidence, the angle of incidence between the direction of motion of the wave and a line drawn perpendicular to the reflecting boundary. It also angle of incidence is the angle that a line or such as a ray of light falling on a surface or interface makes with the normal drawn at the point of incidence. So next we have angle of reflection. So here, the angle of reflection, the angle between the reflected ray and the normal. So angle of reflection, it is the angle that a ray of light or the light reflected from a surface makes with a normal to the surface at the point of reflection. So angle of reflection, it is the angle that the beam of reflected radiated makes with the normal to a surface that a point of reflection. So, point of incidence. So, ang point of incidence says that the point at which light falls. So, ang point of incidence, the point which the light hit the surface. And also, it is the point on the surface where the incident ray strike the surface. So, ang point of incidence, it is a point of will be the point at which the ray of incidence falls on the mirror. So here is the example of incidence and angle of reflection. So here, look at the figure. Yeah. So we have the incident ray. So it will reflect. So the reflected rays, and between we have the normal angle of incidence, angle of reflection. So that is the example of angle of incidence and angle of reflection. So we have the law of reflection. So the angle of incidence equal to the angle of reflection. So here is the angle of incidence equals to the angle of reflection. We have I equals R. So that is. So next we have the law of reflection. So the incident ray, refracted ray, and the normal to the reflecting surface at the point of incidence lie on the same plane. So here is the examples. Normal, the incident ray, we have angle of incidence, and the angle of reflection, reflected ray. So that's it. So that's all. Thank you for listening. I hope you learned from the discussion. God bless. Thank you.